I think if you were to take kids and give them curriculum and have them learn it in class, sure, they'd get something out of it, but when you throw the hearing in there and the competitive edge to it, I think it gives them a lot more motivation and it makes them come together more as a team.
The We the People, the Citizen, and the Constitution curriculum is taught at high school, middle school, and elementary levels. The instructional program helps students develop an understanding of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and gives them the opportunity to apply their knowledge to historical and contemporary events and issues and build skills necessary for good citizenship. The culminating event of the program is a simulated congressional hearing involving the entire class in which students act as experts on constitutional issues, giving testimony before a panel of judges. This video provides guidelines for judges and examples of hearings.
The hearing gives students an opportunity to show what they know and how well they understand what they've studied. It also gives them practice in participating, learning how to participate.
Students reap many benefits from participating in the hearing. It engages them in research and writing, promotes cooperation and teamwork, and gives them the opportunity to present their knowledge to their community. The hearing also serves as an excellent performance assessment instrument.
I love the culminating activity because they had to take what they learned and put it into action rather than just memorize some answers for a test. And I've been very proud of how well all of my groups have done with this.
At the high school level, a formal competition is held. Classes compete first in their congressional district, with winners moving on to state competitions. Winning classes from the 50 states and the District of Columbia meet at the national finals each spring in Washington, D.C.
We encourage teachers to be involved in a competitive hearing. And the reasons why we do that is that one, it's an opportunity for students to have more chances at demonstrating what they know, but also with the competitive program, we have studies to suggest that students do better and learn more from being involved in the competition. And therefore, that's why we have a national competition, because the learning curve goes up at each level that the students participate in.
The hearing consists of 6 panels of students, ranging from a minimum of 3 to possibly 6 or more students, depending upon the size of the class. Judges are representatives of the community with knowledge of the Constitution, American history, and government.
The thing that we want to know is the quality of the mind, the quality of the heart, how well they can reason, how well they can think with us in looking at this material is what we care about, and I would hope that's what they care about as well.
In addition to assessing the students' performance, judges serve other valuable functions.
Your purposes as a judge are first, to help the students grow intellectually, to help the students reveal to themselves the power of thought of which they are capable, in particular when they are appropriately challenged by you. Another purpose is to sharpen each student's insight into the role of the citizen in our constitutional democracy.
In preparation for the hearing, a class is divided into 6 groups corresponding to the units of the text. Although all students study the entire curriculum, each group becomes expert in one unit and shares its knowledge with the other students in the class.
The outstanding part of the We the People program is that entire classes participate. This is not the best and the brightest of a school. This is entire classes who participate in the program and help each other to learn the content.
In the hearing, each group of students testifies on one of 3 questions developed by the center for that unit. The students do not know in advance which of the questions they will be required to answer.
My name is Sue Anna Conklin, and I am a congressional aide with Congresswoman Diana DeGette.
The hearing begins with the judges and students introducing themselves. The judge who serves as the chair reads the question, and the students respond with their testimony.
Why did Lincoln reject the attempt of the Southern states to apply the principles of 1776 to their secession in 1860 to 61? You may begin.
After the prepared testimony, the judges ask follow-up questions of the students to probe the depth of their understanding and to test their analytical skills.
Lincoln, at the beginning of the war, was willing to preserve the Union by leaving slavery intact. Don't you think that that legitimizes the position of the Southerners with respect to slavery?
I actually would agree on that point. I do believe that the Southerners did have a right to secede. They used John Locke's principles of life, liberty, and property.
During the follow-up questioning period, judges have two strategies in asking questions of the students. One is they can use the suggested follow-up questions that were written by the Center for Civic Education. But secondly, they can also create their own questions based on what students have said during the testimony.
Judges should consider 4 guidelines when asking follow-up questions. First, ask questions directly related to the student's presentation. These may be questions asking for clarification, elaboration, or application to contemporary situations. Second, questions should be related to what students have studied in the text or mentioned in their opening statement. Students may use their knowledge of all of the units to answer the follow-up questions. Third, judges should word follow-up questions concisely to allow students time to respond. The clock continues during judges' questioning as well as during students' answers. Long and complex questions are difficult for students to follow. Fourth, address follow-up questions to the entire group rather than just one student. This should not preclude occasionally referring to a particular individual's answer to probe or clarify a point that a student has made, with the understanding that any student may respond.
Do you think the Supreme Court should have the power to declare a law passed by Congress unconstitutional? Why or why not?
The Supreme Court should have the power to declare a law passed by Congress unconstitutional. We firmly believe this because suppose Congress voted for a bill that said if you did not believe in a certain religion, you could not vote. If the President approved of such a bill, it would become a law. But it's the Supreme Court's duty to look into the Constitution and see if Congress is eliminating any of your rights.
Following the testimony and questions and answers, each of the judges provides the students with feedback on their performance.
There's a nice consonance between your presentation and your follow-up questions, and that says to us they know their stuff. They're not just reading something that they don't understand. They, in fact, do understand it. The one place where I think you do need to do a little more work is in response to this question of sovereignty, which had sort of been hinted at in several of the other questions. You did a wonderful job explaining how Magna Carta stands for principles of limited government, due process of law, and so forth. Very nice job. Thank you.
Feedback should be brief and focus on the group's strengths while indicating suggestions for improvement. Specific constructive criticism as well as praise gives students an accurate indication of the strengths and weaknesses of their presentation, enabling them to learn from the experience. Providing information to correct statements made by the students that are inaccurate or irrelevant to the questions asked is appropriate.
We want them to learn from the hearing, so the judges will tell them what they see as the strengths of their position, but they will also give them suggestions for improvement. And we want them to do it in a kindly manner, not to devastate the students. We want the students to leave feeling that they've done a good job.
Each of the 6 groups has 10 minutes for its presentation, 4 minutes for prepared testimony, and 6 minutes to answer follow-up questions. At each hearing, a timer uses a stopwatch to time the 4-minute presentation, indicating with the sign when 1 minute is remaining and signaling time at the conclusion of the 4 minutes allowed for prepared testimony. The timer also tracks the 6-minute follow-up questioning period, again indicating when 1 minute is left and calling time at the end of the allotted period. If students do not use all 4 minutes for their prepared testimony, the timer will add the unused time to the follow-up question period. Judges have the discretion to allow limited extra time to compensate for time taken from the group's presentation.
You gave examples for all the natural rights. I wanted to know if you could give another example for liberty.
My right to freedom of speech, and that they can't take that away from me because it's one of our First Amendment right, and it's probably one of people's most known rights because they understand that they can say anything they want as long as it doesn't hurt other people in any type of way.
Judges score the students as a group using the scoring sheet provided. The total score for the class consists of the combined scores received by each of the 6 groups. The panel of judges may discuss scoring with each other, but need not assign the same score. Judges may retain their scoring sheets until they have seen all of the groups, and then may revise scores after having had an opportunity to compare classes. They may adjust their scores accordingly. Once scores have been turned in to the scorekeeper, however, no further changes are permitted. Presentations and responses to questions are evaluated in terms of understanding, constitutional application, reasoning, supporting evidence, responsiveness, and participation. Explanations of these criteria are included on the scoring sheet.
Government is the organization through which political authority is exercised in a society. Without government, John Locke believed that citizens with more power might deprive the natural rights of citizens with less power.
Judges should be aware of several considerations in scoring a group's performance. Groups in which most members speak should be rated higher than those in which 1 or 2 students dominate. However, it is important to be sensitive to students that have difficulty speaking in public because of shyness, a language problem, or other handicap. Groups should not be penalized because of these students. In rating participation, judges should consider the extent to which most students participate as well as the quality of their presentation. During their prepared statement, some students may use notes and others may have memorized the presentation. Either style is acceptable and should not affect the class's scores. Presentations should be judged on content, not the manner of delivery. Notes may not be used, however, during the follow-up questions. Within a group, students may differ in their opinions and positions. In some cases, their opinions will differ from those of the judges. Students should be evaluated on how well they articulate and are able to substantiate their opinions, not on whether they reflect those held by the judges. At the end of the hearings, judges turn in the score sheets as instructed. Judges' scores are confidential and should not be discussed with the teacher, students, or others. After the competition, teachers may request the total score for their classes. However, they will not be told how individual judges scored their classes. At the conclusion of the program, students' accomplishments are recognized with the presentation of awards and certificates of achievement.
I leave this competition every year basically taking with me something that some student might have said, some piece of information that a class has mentioned in the competition that makes me, I think, a little bit better person and a little bit better lawyer as I go about my daily affairs.
It's really about the kids. This is about having students who have an enlightened understanding of government, about how the principles that are laid out in the founding period apply to today. And we believe at the Center for Civic Education that going through our materials and being involved in a congressional hearing is a step towards that direction.
Immediately following these credits are the example hearings.